Now, what's best about the charge blade? Poses. Obviously. No, attack does not factor into the element file at all. Greetings, YouTube. So up next is the charge blade tutorial, or as I like to call it, the Swiss Army knife, because it does have a solution to every problem. Hope you enjoy. Now, in typical fashion, before we do anything, yes, the hunter's notes, always consult them. So going forward, I will be using the names of the moves as references, not the buttons, because many people play on different things that don't have these buttons. So if I mention something and you don't know what it is, just come back to this timestamp. So you have Phials. Now, every attack with the sword will charge the Phials. However, the easiest way to charge the Phials is to hold down the sword charge. After any attack in sword state, you can press this button again to slide and attack again. Once your Phials are glowing either yellow or red, you can fill them. When you fill them, yellow fills 3, red fills 6. To fill the Phials, you have to be guarding. Once you have full Phials, you can charge your shield. Perform a shield thrust twice, and after the second one, your shield will glow. While it's glowing, quickly guard and deposit your Phials into your shield. Then charge your Phials again. After filling your Phials, guard, charge your sword again, hold it, and perform a standard attack. This will perform the sword condensed element discharge. Directly after this, perform 2 consecutive shield thrusts. When your shield crackles with energy, aim your slinger before you go into the element discharge. This will charge your axe. While using your axe mode, your axe should always be charged, indicated with a red axe symbol next to your Phials. Whenever you hit an enemy in your axe form, it will deposit Phials. This is called a Savage Axe. Now, the Savage Axe mode is just one way to play the charge blade. Since the charged Savage Axe always gives you an attack boost, you should always have it charged. Now the other way to play is to try to constantly perform the SAED. To do this, all you have to do is have Phials charged and just perform 2 shield thrusts consecutively, and you'll automatically do this. It's important to note that when performing the SAED, the down smash of the axe does almost as much damage as all of your Phials. So try to hit them directly with the SAED. Now, whether you're attacking in just Savage Axe mode and spending the Phials that way, or just charging your Phials and dumping them all in the SAED, it doesn't really matter. Your damage output will be about the same. Now, because almost half of the damage is coming from the direct hit from the axe mode initially, it's more important to focus on how much damage you can do with your connective attacks before you focus on your damage on your Phials. Yes, the Phials do damage and artillery is good, but attacking with more crit and attack does more damage than the Phials will do. Not to mention that I have Agitator on this build, and it's not even proccing because the training dummy cannot be mad. I'll take a bit to go over the Phial types now. So the first Phial type is the Impact Phial. The Impact Phial is raw damage. There's no element, it's just raw. Now, if you have an element on your weapon, some element damage is done by your weapon, but not by the Phial. Phials operate independently of a lot of perks. Like for instance, Phials cannot perform critical hits, so you cannot benefit from any critical actions. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people stray away from the charge blade when it comes to elemental builds, because you cannot benefit from true critical element, or critical element. Or rather, your Phials cannot benefit. Now, we have the Power Element Phial. The Power Element Phial will not benefit from any sort of attack boost. It will, however, benefit from elemental boost. If you are using the damage formula to calculate how much damage you're going to do, I suggest you leave out the Phials of your formula. Then add in the Phials and calculate how many Phials you would use over time, and put that into how much damage you would do. I'll start off with guard points. When your sword is drawn and you're in the middle of an attack, and your shield is facing the attack that hits you, it will perform a guard point where it blocks the damage. This can only block certain attacks, not all attacks, and it is quite difficult to use, but masters of the Charged Blade love the guard points. You definitely need to utilize this sliding attack to move around the monster. Do not try to spend your time walking around the monster. This is much more effective, and it does get affected by Evade Extender. So always keep your shield charged. Not only does this give you a defense boost, this allows you to perform the SAED if you need to. The sword charge is a good buff, and it's very easy to keep. On smaller, wider monsters, it's much easier to use the Savage Axe to kill them, because the SAED misses often. So perform the Axe Element Discharge twice, and then 2 Rising Slashes, and just alternate in that order. If you perform the Axe Element Discharge 3 times in a row, you will perform the SAED, and sometimes you do want this. Personally, my preferred playstyle is I just use Savage Axe all the time, and then when the monster's down, I SAED. But you can play however risky your tolerance will allow you. Alright, so now I'll go over specific things that might go on the Charged Blade. So, I have these 2 up top separated. Now, if you run an Elemental Charged Blade, they aren't bad, they are very good. The Elemental Charged Blade is very good against the Latrion, assuming you're good with the Charged Blade. If you're bad with the Charged Blade, you're going to need a minute before you fight a Latrion with the Charged Blade. Now, I threw an Expert Tool just to reiterate. From the Phials, you do not receive critical hits. You cannot. The Charged Blade is probably one of the best weapons to run focus on. I still don't do it because it takes up attack damage or earplugs or evade extender or some other perk that I want instead. Depending on your build, you may want capacity boost and you may not want capacity boost. If you are running an elemental build, you probably want capacity boost, because if a lot of your damage is coming out of the elemental Phials, an entire Phial, which is what capacity boost would give you, would increase your Phial damage by 20%, basically. Jumping Jewel. Now, I say Evade Extender because I personally love Evade Extender on my Charge Blade because the sliding attack is affected by Evade Extender quite substantially. Now, Offensive Guard is you guarding right before an attack. That's all it is. Now, if you want to throw Offensive Guard on for extra attack, sure, that's not bad. Typically, you are not guarding with the Charge Blade because you are too worried about attacking your foe. I do not run guard up because I don't really guard with the Charge Blade ever. But playstyles differ. The Iron Wall Jewel, the guard, if you're going to guard, you should have 3 levels of Iron Wall Jewel on your guarding builds. The Stone Thrower, the Slinger from the Charge Blade, is one of the worst Slinger weapons in the game, honestly. The Slinger works with the Charge Blade is after a well-timed guard, you can shoot Slinger ammo at them. Now, maybe you can perform an SAED on the flinch, but, you know, who knows? Like, maybe. It's not worth a perk, though. If you have Slinger ammo and the opportunity is there, sure, take it. I almost forgot about artillery. Yes, you should run artillery if your damage is coming out of Phials. There's multiple builds and multiple playstyles. So, if you're attacking through Phial damage, artillery good. Not attacking through Phial damage, artillery bad. The maximum you can get out of artillery damage is 50% extra on each Phial. Let's say you do 500 damage in Phial attack with an SAED. So if you do 500 damage with a Phial attack on an SAED, then your axe also does like 600 to 700 damage on the attack. So basically 1100 damage is coming out of the axe, and then 500 damage is coming out of the Phials. So out of an attack that does 1700 damage, you're only increasing it by around 250, depending on if you have capacity boost or whatever. So, to me, that's worth it. But it might not be for you. So that was my tutorial. I hope you liked it. If you didn't, let me know. If you think I missed something, let me know. If you did like it, let me know. Leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Oh, and the reason I don't show my builds is because my builds are different for tutorials, because I just want to showcase the weapon itself and how to play it.